A very good evening and welcome. This is Primetime News on TV1, bringing you the news for the Newsfirst team. I'm Jayamar Ratnayaka. Today is the 9th of January 2023. Here are your headlines for tonight.
Ugly brawl between fishermen and Coast Guard officers in Hambantota. Shots fired into the air. Police disrupt the protest march against the electricity tariff increase. Aragali Memorial disrupted. Police rush to clean the golf face green. President Wickremesinghe reacts to the turmoil in Brazil. Three factions oppose the petition to cancel the local government elections. SLPP places bonds for the local government elections. Talks on an agreement between the SLPP and the UNP continue.
In a top story for tonight, shots were fired into the air to defuse a brawl between Sri Lanka Coast Guard officers and fishermen in Hambantota early this morning. The Hambantota police said that 8 fishermen were arrested following the incident.
Tensions boiled over in Hambantota at around 9 a.m. today morning following an incident between 2 boats in the seas of Hambantota late on Sunday night. Local fishermen had visited the Sri Lankan Coast Guard station in Hambantota to inform about the incident. However, to control the situation that followed, one Coast Guard officer had opened fire into the air.
අපිට බයිනවා මෙයාලා. ඊට පස්සේ මම ගෝ F5 ලියලා දෙන්නම් උඹ බං තොපි කරන්නේ නැහැ මෙහෙම. ඒක මම මේව කරලා දුන්නා. දුන්නාට පස්සේ මම යාකට ඇවිල්ලා යා ගන්න මම ගෝ එහාට ඇවිල්ලා කතා කරන්න කියලා. එහාට කරලා කතා කරන්නයි කියනකොට සේරම ටික පිරුණා. අතුලේ දාගෙන උඩු කොල්ල ගහන ගැහුව ඔක්කොම.
කා වෙඩි තිබුවද?
අපේ මොනව කරන්නද?
නෑ ඔයාගේ රාජකාරියව කරා.
රාජකාරී කරා මගේ රාජකාරී කරන්න බෑ. ඉතින් රාජකාරී කරන්නේ කොහොමද? අර ඇතුලේ දාගෙන ගහනකොට අපි ඔක්කොම. සේරම දිබුල දෙන්න ඔළුව.
The Sri Lanka Coast Guard officer was escorted to the Sri Lanka Navy camp in Hambantota and was later admitted to the Hambantota General Hospital. Newsfirst correspondent said that the secretary of the Hambantota Fisheries Association was also injured and was admitted to the Hambantota General Hospital.
Sri Lanka Police and the Electricity Users Association clashed over the attempt made to prevent a protest march in Fort Colombo on Monday morning. The Electricity Users Association had launched a campaign to collect 6.9 million signatures against the proposed electricity tariff hike and planned to deliver the petition to the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka.
කරත්තේ යන්නදලුයි කැබ් එකේ යන්නලු කරත්තේ නැතුව අපේලාලා කරත්තේ අර SP කාර්යය නැවත් භූමිතෙල් කරත් එකට අද වැඩ නැති මොහොතක ඒ මිනිහයාට කීයක් හරි හම්බෙන වෙන්න ආවේ ඒ මිනිහයා ඒ මිනිහයෝ 3 දෙනෙක් බියවත්තල මේ කුජීත පොලිසිය එළවුවා ලැජ්ජයි වික්‍රමසිංහ ලැජ්ජයි මේ මහත්තේ තමයි කිව්වේ මට දඟලන්න එපා කියලා ඔබතුමාගේ අර වාහනේ තියෙනවද ඒක කියන්න නෑ වාහනේ යන්නේ අපි පයින් යන්නේ නෑ ඔබතුමාගේ අර නෑ මම පයින් යන්නේ ලක්ෂරි වාහනේ පයින් යන්නේ නෑ මං කියන්නේ ඔබතුමාගේ හොඳ වාහනයක් තියෙනවනේ තෙල් ගහන්න බෑනේ මහත්තයෝ ගාලා වැඩිනේ ඔබතුමාගේ වාහනේ යන්නේ ලක්ෂ ගාණක් වාහනයක් තියාගෙන හරියන්නේ නේද බාධා කරන්න එපා හොඳේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඇයි බාධා කරන්නේ මොන බාධාද අපිට කියන්නේ මොකද්ද ප්‍රශ්නේ මේ යකෝ අපි තලිදරියෙන් යන්නේ.
The group marched towards the president's office, where they were obstructed once again by Sri Lanka police. Thereafter, the group boarded a bus and proceeded to the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka. The Mahasangha were also present to hand over the petition to PUCSL.
As the crisis in Sri Lanka intensifies, on the 9th of January here, we have a form of a protest. Although these protesters here are highlighting in the main environmental issues. Most of these boards here talk about various environmental matters. The numbers are few, the press are quite a number here, but there's a former presidential candidate too over here. But all of these people are being outnumbered, seriously outnumbered by the police and the various other authorities. We can see here the level of intensity here, and over there some more people standing up in a sort of second flank. And out beyond there we see a few personnel carriers, and we're wondering what they're for. The few protesters here have braved all sorts of odds here. They're not really protesters. They say they came here to do a beach cleanup. But they are all of them being outnumbered considerably by the numbers of police and the special task force over there.
A group of Aragale activists had planned on cleaning up the Golf Face beach this evening. However, Sri Lanka police intervened and cleaned up the place for them. The beach cleanup was planned to commemorate the Aragale protests.
We published a Facebook post several days ago regarding a beach cleanup, but when we came here, the beach was already cleaned.
Thereafter, the group planned to obtain signatures on behalf of detained student activist Vasanta Mudalige and collect books. However, they were confronted by another group. The second group claimed that they were representing the tourism industry and opposed the Aragale activists. Tensions boiled over when the police intervened.
ජනාධිපති කියන්නේ බජා ශක්ල දේවෙන් දෙන්න නෙවෙයි. උඩ කරන්න දීපන්. ඔයා කියන්නේ මේ ජනාධිපති මෙරට හදනවා. හදනවා. අපිට රස්සාව කරන්න වෙන්න. හරිද වත්තන්නේ. හරි යන්න. ඔය තල්ලු කරේ. ඔහොම තල්ලු කරේ. ඔය යන්නේ ආර. හතන කියලා පිකට් කරනවා ගන්න ආර. හතන කියලා රණ්ඩු කරලා මගුල් රණ්ඩු වෙන්න ගන්න යන්නේ ආර. මෙහාට යනවාලා. මෙහාට යන්න කිව්වා. අපි කොටුවේ ටුවරිසම් කරන්නේ අපි කාටවත් එන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ. එච්චරයි. අපි කාටවත් කොටුවේ ටුවරිසම් කරන කට්ටිය එන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ. කොට ආවේ නැහැ, කඩ යන්න ආවේ නැහැ. අපි ටුවරිසම් බෝට් කරන්නේ ආ. ටුවරිසම් මේවා ලයිසන්ස් තියෙනවා. කඩ යන්නේ නෙවෙයි අපි. මේ කඩේ ගිහලා නැහැ. මේ ටුවරිස්ට් බෝට් වලින් කරන්නේ. එක්සෑම් කරලා කරන්නේ මේක. එක්සෑම් කරලා. අද උදේ කිව්වා එංගලන්තෙන් ඉතාලියෙන් කිව්වා ටුවරිසම් කරන්න හොඳ බරට ලංකාව කියලා. දැන් මෙහෙම කරනකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ හදන්නේ තනිකර මේක කඩාකප්පල් කරන්නනේ දෙයියනේ.
However, the program to obtain signatures on behalf of Wasantha Mudalige continued.
Everyone gathered here at golf is to send a message that the Aragalaya is moving forward. I think the government is afraid of that. Wasantha Mudalige is a symbol of the Aragalaya. He does not represent one person. His detention represents a suppression of the Aragalaya.
Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe has said that he was deeply concerned about the recent violence that erupted in Brazil. In a statement, he said that Sri Lanka, not so long ago, also experienced similar attempts by groups to overthrow democratic structures through unconstitutional means. While noting that such hostilities are condemned, the president said Sri Lanka stands in solidarity with the president, government and people of Brazil in this hour of confrontation. President Wickremesinghe said that it is imperative that democracy and its institutions are universally respected by all citizens. For several days, supporters of former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro have been protesting as they refuse to accept that the populist autocrat lost his bid for re-election, claiming the election was stolen. Hundreds called for military intervention to overthrow President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, who was inaugurated 1 week ago. Hundreds of supporters of Brazil's former president stormed the Planalto Presidential Palace, National Congress and the Supreme Court headquarters. After hours of chaos, Brazilian police have retaken control of the premises occupied by the protesters. Lula has declared federal security intervention in Brazil and vowed to punish neo-fascists with full force of law. Bolsonaro denied any involvement in the attack, calling any suggestion otherwise a baseless accusation. While Lula has served 2 presidential terms, he has also served a prison term, and some Brazilians say it is shameful he should have returned to the presidential palace after his time in jail. Lula spent 580 days in jail after being convicted of corruption in 2017 and was banned from running in the 2018 presidential election, which Bolsonaro ended up winning. Jair Bolsonaro's family finances came under renewed scrutiny after claims the Brazilian president and close relatives used cash to pay for more than 50 properties worth millions of dollars. Taking a look at news from here at home, health workers across the country engaged in a token strike today.
This strike was launched against the increase in bank loan interest rates, the increase in the cost of living and the delay in implementing Circular 6/2006. The Sri Lanka Freedom Health Service Union and several other trade unions extended their support to the trade union action, and due to this, some services were crippled.
कैसे बिजलाव दे तवा कुना कितना इतना बेच करते ना आडू ने देखते में लेवल बड़े क्या तब आवे इतने तो मतलब नहीं बेचते इतने.
A protest was also staged opposite the Ministry of Health in line with the trade union action.
We don't even have a proper salary for the loans to be deducted from. One employee of the Kandy hospital got a chest pain when she saw her pay sheet. Shouldn't we live? Should our children starve? We need a solution to our problems. If the authorities don't pay attention to our problems, we will have to go in for a continuous strike.
Later, a group of trade union members handed over a letter to the Ministry of Finance.
A senior government spokesperson said that the Cabinet of Ministers granted approval to the proposal to increase the electricity tariff hike. He said the approval was granted on the basis that it would be reviewed by the 15th of February. He added that there is a possibility of the electricity tariff reducing after the review. Meanwhile, Chairman of the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka said that a proposal on the electricity tariff revision was received this evening. The Public Utilities Commission reiterated that it will not allow any increase in electricity tariffs, even if the Cabinet approves the decision.
We have the power to reject the decision taken by the Cabinet. The Public Utilities Commission will never hesitate to use that power at any point, so do not be afraid. According to the data that I mentioned, there is no need to increase the tariff.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa emphasises that the stolen money should be recovered without further burdening the people with the electricity tariff hike.
The country is bankrupt. The education minister is just there for namesake. The health ministry is bankrupt. They came into power saying they will build the country, but they've robbed the country, bankrupted it, and now they are saying that 22 million citizens should pay the price with the electricity tariff hike. Action should be taken against this gang of thieves who bankrupt this country. The money that they've stolen should be recovered. I challenge the other parties who sit in the opposition. Try and do something for the country. We should work for the country in a competitive manner. I challenge you. Sajith Premadasa is ready for the race, not only through words, but by walking the talk.
The opposition leader made these remarks while donating the 67th bus under the Sakvala program to the Lalit Athulat Mudali College in Ratmalana.
News First with the people.
Will elections be held before the 10th of March 2023? 61 days more.
3 intermediary petitions filed with the Supreme Court requesting the writ application seeking an order to suspend all local government election-related activities be rejected without taking it up for examination.
Retired Sri Lanka Army Colonel WMR Vijay Sundara had filed an application with the Supreme Court seeking a writ order invalidating the preparations that are being made for the local government election. Attorney Sunil Vatagala, national organizer of the Socialist Youth Union Eranga Gunasekara, and Dr. Vishrakesh Chandrasekaram filed the intermediary applications seeking to dismiss the writ application without taking it up for examination. The intermediary petitions claim that at a time when the Election Commission had decided to hold an election and called for nominations, seeking an order to prevent it is a blow to the people's mandate.
We filed petitions with the court to defeat the contract given out by the Ranil Rajapaksas who have no mandate. We challenge Ranil Rajapaksa and their cronies to try and delay the elections. We will take our fight to the streets to win an election.
Professor G.L. Pires claims that attempts are still being made to delay the local government poll.
The government is making various attempts to delay the local government election. However, those attempts will not succeed. News reports claim that the Elections Commission is split in opinion. However, there is no such split. This is the gazette published by the Elections Commission and it contains the signature of all 5 members. It was a unanimous decision. They are trying to create an issue and even bring the Attorney General into this. In addition, a party leader summoning the Election Commission after the election has been announced cannot be accepted. This is completely wrong. The Attorney General has no legal right to cross-examine the members of the Election Commission or even peruse their documents. It is also said the Finance Ministry officials claim the government lacks funds to hold an election. The senior official who made this claim is anonymous. The Finance Ministry officials cannot decide if an election will take place or not, or if there are funds for the election. We would like to know the identity of this official.
The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna says no final decision was reached regarding the formation of an alliance with the United National Party. The representatives of the SLPP and the UNP met for talks on Sunday evening. The United National Party was represented by Vajira Bewardhana, Sagala Ratnayaka, Ravi Karunanayaka, Palita Rangebandara, Ruwan Vijayawardena and Akila Viraj Karyavasam. The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna was represented by its national organizer Basil Rajapaksa, Sagala Karyavasam, Rohita Apekunawardena, Mahindananda Ludgamage, Johnston Fernando and Sanjeev Edrimanna.
We decided on how we can work together for the betterment of the country. We also decided how we can work together when it comes to the local government election. We have several more rounds of discussions this week. Thereafter, we will decide how we can work together. We held talks with the UNP and we will be conducting district level talks tomorrow on how we can work together. What issues does Ranil Wickremesinghe have? We voted for him and made him president. Do we have issues with the person we made president? If we make him the president, what is the issue in working with him? I do not think there is any issue here. We spoke out over the central bank bond issue. If anyone is guilty, that person must be punished. We will not go back on our words. We need to be certain of who did it.
MP Johnston Fernando presided over the event to place bonds for the SLPP to contest the local government elections from the Kurunegala district.
Some parties are not ready for the election, and it is those parties that are saying there will be no election. This is a complete deception. They deceive the people by pretending to demand an election. We have political parties that are not even ready to go for an election. It is clear that the SLPP is ahead of everyone. Mahinda Rajapaksa is our leader and we never changed our leader. He has not resigned. Let's look at the election results when they are out.
MP SM Chandrasena signed the SLPP nomination papers for the Anuradhapura district and said Basil Rajapaksa is leading the election activities.
As a party, we are getting ready for the election. The party headquarters has given us the instructions. Basil Rajapaksa is leading the operation.
The SLPP placed bonds to contest for 13 local government institutions in the Colombo district. Minister Bandula Gunawardena was also present.
This election will not change the government or the president. The results of the election will be appointed to local representatives who would ensure the aspirations of the grassrooters are realized. After this election win, we will go for the parliamentary election. If there is such an attempt, would we be placing bonds? We are ready to face the election. Though various allegations are raised on social media, intelligent people are with us. Though we are not highlighted on social media, the SLPP lives in the people's hearts.
The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna also placed their bonds for the Putlam district. The National People's Power placed bonds for 12 local government institutions in the Hambantota district. NPP district leader Nihal Galapati was also present.
We believe the people would humbly support us to bring about change.
The United National Freedom Front also placed bonds to contest in the Colombo district.
There are no provincial councils. The people have rejected all 225 MPs. If they are trying to delay the election, it is a blow to democracy. We will not allow that.
Will elections be held before the 10th of March 2023? 61 days more.
Some of the world's most powerful hedge funds and other investors are holding up vital help for crisis-hit Sri Lanka by their hardline stance in debt relief negotiations following Sri Lanka's $51 billion default last year. This is according to 182 economists and development experts from around the world.
Private creditors own almost 40% of Sri Lanka's external debt stock, mostly in the form of international sovereign bonds, although the higher interest rates levied on the bonds mean they receive more than 50% of external debt payments. Such lenders charged a premium to lend to Sri Lanka to cover their risks, which accrued them massive profits and contributed to Sri Lanka's first ever default in April 2022.
The 182 economists and experts have said that Sri Lanka needs significant debt cancellation from all its external creditors. So that includes other governments like Japan and China and multilateral lenders, but also these private lenders. And the largest amount of Sri Lanka's debt is owed to the private lenders. So of debt payments that were due to be made, 50% are to private lenders compared to 15% to China. So the experts are saying all of these creditors need to share in cancelling Sri Lanka's debt so that it is sustainable. The private lenders lent a high interest rate because they said that the loans were risky. They lent, in the words of the experts, to corrupt politicians, and so they now need to take responsibility for the failure of their lending, and that means agreeing to cancel debt.
Head of Policy of Debt Justice also spoke about what the Sri Lankan government could do regarding the situation.
So the Sri Lankan government has stopped paying them, and that is the number one thing they can do to put pressure on them, because the reason they will ultimately agree to cancel the debt is because otherwise they don't get paid anything. It can stay strong in the negotiations with the creditors and say, if you don't accept the amount of cancellation that is needed, then we will continue not to pay them. But it's also up to the international community to help Sri Lanka out. So the other creditors, like the other governments, the multilateral lenders, need to also agree to cancel debts, but then they also need to support Sri Lanka to put pressure on the private creditors. So, for example, debt to private creditors is governed by New York law, and New York has been discussing legislation which could make creditors take part in debt cancellation. And so there are other people elsewhere in the world who could help get the deal that is needed, get the debt cancelled as needed, so that Sri Lanka can recover from this crisis.
Taking a look at news from economic woes faced by another regional peer, Pakistan has requested Saudi Arabia to urgently provide $3 billion in cash after its foreign exchange reserves fell to a critically low level.
Pakistan media reported that Finance Minister Ishaq Dar made the request during a meeting with Nawaf bin Said, the Saudi ambassadors. The Finance Minister held meetings with foreign diplomats in his efforts to seek their financial support and also influence the International Monetary Fund to soften its stance on releasing its $1.2 billion tranche to the country. Dar's request for the cash bailout of $3 billion was over and above the same amount of money rollover of the previous debt. However, there is an urgency of the matter as the country's foreign exchange reserves have fallen below the $7 billion level for the first time since January 2019. The current reserves stand at around $6.7 billion, which is almost equal to $6.6 billion on January 18th, 2019. Pakistan is again looking towards the friendly countries as it has been able to revive the $6.5 billion IMF bailout package derailed for the fourth time in 3 years. The IMF has not yet finalized dates for the staff level talks, much needed to acquire the next loan tranche of $1.2 billion.
Back to news from here at home. The fundamental rights application filed over the sugar tax scam was postponed to the 6th of May as counsel for the respondents did not appear in court.
Former MP Sunil Hadunnethi had filed a petition naming 12 respondents, including the sugar importer in question. It was called up in the presence of Supreme Court Justices LTB Dehidaniya and Shriran Gunaratna. A junior counsel appearing for the respondents requested the court to postpone considering the application as the two senior President's counsel appearing for the respondents cannot be present in court due to personal reasons.
The local government election would cost 10 billion rupees. 13 billion rupees was lost to the state due to the sugar tax scam. They allowed 13 billion rupees to be lost but claim they have no money to hold a democratic election. They are using people to file petitions with the Supreme Court stating that the Treasury is short of funds. The Treasury will not have money when they allow their henchmen to commit fraud of 13.9 billion rupees. The president of this government is saying they have no money. we need immediate intervention.
කියනවා සල්ලි නෑ මේ මැතිවරණේ තියන්නේ කියලා. අපි අහන්නේ වහාම මෙන්න මේ කාරණයට මැදිහත් වෙන්න.
Notice was issued once again on Central Bank Monetary Board members attorney Sanjeeva Jayawardena and Rani Jayamaha as they failed to appear in court. Today, the fundamental rights applications filed against 39 people for leading the country to an economic crisis was taken up, and the notice was reissued to the CBSL Monetary Board members. The former president, former prime minister and former finance minister are among the 39 people named as respondents in the petition. The fundamental rights applications by Transparency International Sri Lanka, former Ceylon Chamber of Commerce Chairman Chandra Jayaratne, Dr. Mahim Mendis from the Open University of Sri Lanka and former national swimming champion Julian Bowling claim that the respondents named in the petition are directly responsible for the current state of the economy of Sri Lanka. The applications were considered in the presence of Chief Justice Jayantha Jayasuriya and Justices Buwanek Aluvihare, Vijit Malalgoda, LTB Dehidenia and Murthu Fernando. The fundamental rights applications will be considered again on the 20th of March this year.
In more news from courts, earlier today, Colombo Chief Magistrate Prasanna Alvis rejected a request made by the Cinnamon Gardens Police to obtain the mobile phone of Kalinga Appa Seneviratne, the first suspect in the case filed for illegally entering the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation during the Aragalaya period. Sri Lanka Police told the court that the Criminal Investigations Department has requested the suspect's mobile device for a separate investigation relating to the Aragalaya and requested the court to order the suspect to surrender his device. The Chief Magistrate noted that if the Cinnamon Gardens Police is investigating the trespassing incident at Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, there is no requirement for the court to issue an order to deliver the mobile device for a separate investigating body. The Chief Magistrate said that if the Criminal Investigations Department wishes, they can make the request themselves. Counsel appearing for Aragalaya activist Daniz Ali, another suspect in the case, told the court that it has been almost 6 months since Sri Lanka Police took his client's phone into custody, and the delay in returning it has caused serious inconveniences to his client. The case will be called up again on the 24th of March 2023. Take a look at sports news. Today was day 3 of the 2023 SSC Open Tennis Tournament.
The tournament was organised by the Sri Lanka Tennis Association together with the SSC Tennis Committee. All matches of the tournament are being played at the tennis courts within the SSC premises.
At the moment, the qualifying rounds are being played. The main draw matches are likely to commence on Tuesday or most probably Wednesday, and the matches will go on with the first set of finals likely to be played over the weekend. The men's and women's singles and doubles finals are slotted to be played on the 20th and 21st of January.
The tournament will feature more than 700 matches covering all age categories from under 12 to over 35, with matches being played under singles, doubles and mixed doubles categories.
More in local news, it's been almost a month since businessman Dinesh Shafter died under mysterious circumstances. Was it murder or suicide? The debate surrounding the businessman's death continues. Sri Lanka Police said that it has not informed court or any other institution that they believe the death to be a suicide. Newsfirst contacted the police spokesperson SSP Nihal Taldua regarding the continuous speculation. For a comprehensive report on this story, simply log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk and also follow us on our social media platforms on Facebook, WhatsApp and Instagram. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Jayamal Ratnayaka. That's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. Take care and good night.